Hello everyone, welcome. I'm Nick
I mean,
from Top Notch Sports, and today we're going to be recapping the 2023 NFL Draft for the Las Vegas Raiders. Look, okay, big draft for us, okay, part of the Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler rebuild, kind of a thing, a retool, whatever you want to call it. First things first, Ian, I'll let you talk about your page. You're a Raiders expert, a Raiders analyst on this channel, so I'll let you plug your page and tell them a little bit about everything.
yep, I'm Raiders.legends on Instagram, post news, rumors, updates, draft profiles, everything like that. So go follow.
Absolutely. Again, you've been doing a phenomenal job. And again, we appreciate you coming on and talking about this. And, I think we're going to do a good job. Our last video did pretty good. So let's keep this thing rolling. All right. First things first, total recap now. Okay. We made a video after day 2. I want to ask you what you think just overall from an entire draft standpoint. What did you think about the entire draft?
My draft grade for the overall draft was a B minus. Made some decent trades, got some nice players. It was kind of more of I kind of like the draft more in day 1 and 2 than I did day 3, but still a solid draft. Good way to get kind of gives you hope for Dave Ziegler in the future and what his drafts will look like.
Yeah, like I said, I actually really like Dave Ziegler. I think that he's been doing a pretty dang good job. We'll see if Josh McDaniels can hold up to his end of the bargain. But Dave Ziegler to me, I mean, I did like Mike Mayock too, but Dave Ziegler is a guy to me that he kind of seems somewhat he's new school compared to Mike Mayock. Mike Mayock was very old school.
Yeah.
John Gruden was very new school. McDaniels and Ziegler are new school, and I'm not saying either one's better. Personally, I like old school a little bit better, but I just like how Ziegler seems open with the media. I just like his interviews. Whenever I listen to him, I like him a lot. So that's that. All right. First things first, first round pick. We go out, 7th overall. We bring in edge rusher Tyree Wilson. Okay. Big guy, has some speed too behind him. Long ass arms, 6'6", 271, 35-inch arms. What's your opinion on him now, a few days after the draft?
I mean, solid pick, not my best player available there. Not kind of in that tier of guys that I wanted, but I think it's still a good pick. He'll take over for Chandler Jones, like you said, a monster frame. I mean, crazy size, long arms. I know Patrick Graham loves that, defense coordinator, so I think that'll be a really good building block for him. And I'm excited to kind of see him go to work, kind of in a limited capacity this year, and then 2024 he'll really take over and uh, be a good edge on the other side of Crosby.
Absolutely. And again, like I said, I mean, I kind of did have a little bit of a draft crush on this guy because of his size and his long arms. And I'm like, Chandler, this is literally Chandler Jones Jr. Like he
Yeah.
is those long arms, the size. I mean, this guy, if he can learn a thing or two from Chandler Jones, who we're paying way too much money, but that's a thing for another story. Paying him way too much, but he's a future Hall of Famer. And to me, if you get a guy that same size as him, gets to learn from a future Hall of Famer and maybe can steal a few moves from him, this is a great pick. Let him learn a year or two underneath Chandler. And I think again, though, you can never have enough edge rushers. Just look at Philadelphia. They have like 2 or 3 sets of a defensive line that they can just switch in and out long stop. The thing about Tyree Wilson is I was debating on whether or not I wanted to put him as my number 1 edge rusher coming out, him between him and Will Anderson. I gave the edge to Will Anderson over Tyree Wilson, but man, nobody can deny that, Tyree Wilson's size, his length does not give him really, I mean, his potential, the sky's the limit for a guy like him. So this pick individually, I gave it an A minus, like you said, not the biggest need right now, right? I know we have a bigger need at corner. We have a bigger need at linebacker, right, than edge because we got Jones and Crosby, but still a really good player, really talented. So that's that. All right, next guy. 35th overall pick. We trade up. We go get Michael Mayer. What you think about him?
A plus pick, really. I mean, he was kind of the top guy I wanted there when we traded up. I think I said this in the last video. I thought they were going to take Hooker for sure, but really happy with this pick. My favorite pick of the entire draft. Um, Violent run blocker. Has that potential to be an elite receiver, and in my opinion, will be better than what Darren Waller was, and obviously is available more often. So I think that's a really great replacement for him.
Yeah. 6'4", 249, ran a 4.7 40, old school tight end. I mean, again, I'll be honest, like I don't want to. He kind of. I mean, I hate him wearing the 87 because I do love Foster Moreau, and I feel like he's just gonna fill in that role. But Love this guy. I mean, he's an old school tight end, a guy that can, I think that he's not a great pass blocker, a great run blocker, but again, he knows how to put his body in the way, stay in front of defenders, and he does a good job with that. Great, contested catch guy, really good releases off the line of scrimmage. I think he finds ways to get separation, even though it's not the greatest separation. He finds ways. I think he's one of the better route runners in the entire draft. That goes for wide receivers and tight ends. He's not extremely fast, but his route running ability, he's able to get in and out of breaks pretty quickly and very smooth. Again, going to be a nice replacement for Darren Waller. And we got a pretty good tight end room now between Mayer, OJ Howard, and Austin Hooper.
Yeah.
We're looking pretty good. It's a whole new reinvented room. I like what we got there, and we'll wait and see. But this should be a really nice weapon for Jimmy Garoppolo in year one with Las Vegas. And again, I think Josh McDaniels, as you said, is going to be able to use Michael Mayer way better than he was able to use someone like Darren Waller. Because again, Mayer can do a little bit of everything. Anything else you want to add about him?
No, that pretty much sums it up pretty well.
180. 180, set. All right, Byron Young from Alabama, defensive tackle, edge rusher. He's a little bit of both. I'll let you talk about him, not the one from Tennessee, the one from Alabama. Go ahead.
So I do like this one more than one from Tennessee. Maybe unpopular opinion, maybe, but solid pick. Gave it a B minus, just like the Wilson pick. Solid, solid on the interior. Can kind of play that 5 tech position, which is on the tackle of outside shoulder. Really good run defender from there, and I think we really badly needed run defenders all over the defensive line. So I think I really like that pick. Solid pick.
Yeah, he's a guy that can do, like I said, a little bit of inside and outside, but mainly going to play interior. And again, it fills in a huge need for ours. So, like I said, back to the Michael Mayer pick, I give that one a B plus individually. This Byron Young pick, I went with a B. We needed an interior defensive lineman for years. Now, we did draft a few last year, Neil Farrell and Matthew Butler, but Byron Young this year, 6'3", 294. And again, the 294 is a little bit undersized. I mean, that's 22nd percentile for the defensive tackle position, but long arms, 85th percentile in arm length. Is a guy that didn't run the 40. Again, the other Byron Young ran the 4.43. I messed that up. I thought that was this one. But, this guy, he does play quick, though. One thing I didn't notice, he is quick, nice, shed moves and stuff like that. He can shed guys off him, shed blocks easily. I like him. Again, fills in the need. I don't know if I love the player as much as I love the need that we had. But again, interesting pick for us. Not bad at all. We'll wait and see what happens. Next guy, pick 100. Trey Tucker, wide receiver from Cincinnati. What do you think about him?
First pick that I didn't like, I gave it a D plus. It's not just because it wasn't a need. That's definitely part of why it kind of drag his grade down. But I'm not a big need guy. I'm pretty much best player available as long as they fit in as a starter, kind of in his early rounds, and then as long as they can fit in as depth piece in the later rounds. I'm really just going with BPA if I'm a GM. So, but just not a good player in my opinion. Wasn't high on him. The speed is compelling, but outside of that, there's undersized. There's nothing really to get excited about too much.
Yeah. And like I said, I want to ask you again, I don't know if your opinion changed at all, and just for the viewers that are watching now, does this mean a Renfro replacement's coming? Because I'm keep on saying, you bring in Trey Tucker, who's primarily a slot receiver, good in punt returns, good in kick returns. That's stuff that Renfro does. Also, our pick just this year, Jacoby Myers, another guy that's primarily a slot guy, not going to do the punt and kick stuff. But, are you going to sit out there and pay a Renfro? Number one, let me ask you this. What do you think Las Vegas is going to do? And then let me ask you what you would do. So I'll first start with what do you think they're going to do?
I'm kind of like 51-49 with it right now, like 51%. Maybe they'll trade him. Dave Ziegler talked about trading guys that they had a surplus at that position, kind of post draft.
Yeah.
and using some of that cap space to bring in some other guys, but he didn't really specify any players, of course. But you kind of think of guys like Amik Robertson, Hunter Renfro that could be traded. Um, I think I'm not sold on the fact that it'll be traded, but I like it. Post June 1, it saves 11 mil, I think.
Yeah.
And we can really use that money for some other spots, get some vets. You know, Marcus Peters is still out there, John Johnson, Duron Harmon, guys like that, Melvin Ingram. There's plenty of guys left, so I think we could definitely use that money elsewhere, especially since we have DeAndre Carter behind him, and then as you as you said, they're going to be using Trey Tucker kind of in a gadget role. Um, so I'd like it to happen. Don't know if it 100% will, but I'd like to have it.
Yeah, and there's a potential out in 2024. It would make us lose 5.5 million. But I'm looking at this year. It looks like we might also lose money if we were to release him. We're not going to release him. We would trade him. If you trade him, you can send the entire contract there. Now, again, is it worth to send Hunter Renfro for a fifth, a sixth round pick? I don't think so. But we got to understand that they don't want these other guys there. Like, I just feel like at this point, just ship them, get what you can get. I love Renfro. You know, I'm a big Renfro guy. I think Derek Carr honestly helped him. They were on such the same page as one another. It made Renfro get to another level. With Jimmy Garoppolo, I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo can build chemistry. I mean, we saw you've been a Raiders fan, you know, your whole life. I've been a Raiders fan my whole life. You remember the connection between Derek Carr and Michael Crabtree. You know, every time there was a clutch situation, they would just have that boom, that hit, strike in the end zone. You know, you probably remember that Kansas City Chiefs game. It was prime time, nighttime. Four
Mhm.
times in a row, they got into the end zone. Penalties, you know, offensive pass interference, defensive pass interference. But Carr and Crabtree ultimately got it done. It's like Carr has an ability. Nelson Aguilar, a below average receiver, turned him into having 1,000-yard a year. Last year with Matt Collins. I mean, you know, like he's done a pretty dang good job with these, you know, below average guys. I think Hunter Renfro is pretty damn good. The thing about Hunter Renfro is that I feel like the reason why he reached that next level was because their chemistry with one another and the continuity. With Jimmy Garoppolo, you're not going to see that same stuff. I just don't think it's worth holding on to him. Get whatever you can get, move on. And again, we just got a surplus, as you mentioned. So we're in an interesting situation with those guys. Next guy, fourth round pick, cornerback Jacorian Bennett. What's your opinion on that one?
This is one of our only day 3 picks that I liked. You know, top end athlete, speed for days. Uh, Kind of has a opportunity to become a starter on the team, or at least for this year, it could be some pretty nice depth. I don't know if you saw that, but Rocky Sin just got signed by the Ravens, so
Yeah.
starting cornerback spot is kind of in question. I think they'll bring in a veteran, maybe a Marcus Peters, like I said, but um, really think that's a pretty decent pick.
Yeah, again, individually as a pick, I don't mind it, right? We needed a cornerback. What upsets me is that we go up and we get Jacorian Bennett. With the very next pick, the Eagles take Kaylee Ringo, which again, I know people had mixed reviews on him, but the dude 6'2", faster, bigger, can tackle. I like the pick of Jacorian Bennett. It's just when you got other guys on the board that I feel like are, you know, rounds 1 through 3 prospects, and then you take Bennett, who I feel like is right around that 3 to 4 range, maybe even 5. You know, it hurts me a little bit. But now here's the thing I did find out about Kelly Ringo. The reason why he fell, according to what I know, had some off-field issues, maybe coaching
Yeah.
issues. The Raiders
Mhm.
don't like that stuff. And let's just stay away. So knowing that now, you know, I gave it a B then, you know, because there was other guys that had higher. I would probably give it around a B plus now, just because I want a guy that's coachable, that's going to fit in the system. I don't want a guy that we're going to draft and then McDaniels hates him and they get rid of him anyway. So getting Jacorian Bennett, extremely fast, can play man, can play zone, do a little bit of everything. Like him, 5'11", 188, ran a 4.3 40, real fast guy, has some good size. I like that pick. Anything else you want to mention about him?
Don't think I mentioned the grade. I gave him a C plus. That's not a bad grade for me.
Yep.
That's like it's a kind of average, but slightly above average type of grade, so it's not
Yeah,
bad at all.
I like the lower grade. That's how I usually am too. So again, I absolutely understand what you're doing there. Next guy, okay, Aiden O'Connell, quarterback. What's your take on him?
That pick sucked. I mean,
I
yeah,
agree.
and especially since we traded up, didn't like him at all. Um, you know, Clayton Tune, I was higher on. I took him in the mock draft. Aiden O'Connell just, you know, not athletic. and that's not obviously a deciding factor on a quarterback, but like I wasn't high on him. Watched a decent amount of his film, didn't like him at all. So give that pick a D plus. Um, it's basically just fourth round QB flyer, but I don't really understand trading up for him either. I know there's wrong QBs after that, but it's didn't like that pick whatsoever.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell he processes. I can't stand the comparisons to Tom Brady. Oh yeah, he has a release like Tom Brady. Just shut up. Like, come on. Like they want to do all this crap. I'm so tired of hearing about it. He's not gonna be anything. Jimmy Garoppolo, and then like I said, he could be a career backup for us. But this dude, 6'3", 213, number one, that's the 22nd percentile of the quarterback position. He's undersized weight wise. He has brick, he has cylinders. He's glued into the ground. He can't move. Let's just put it that way. I don't know. I don't like this pick at all. Again, there was other guys, available. I even like a guy, Tanner McKee, who went to the Eagles later on.
Yeah, yeah.
The Eagles picked a guy. He's smart, can process things quickly. I believe he went to Stanford. So I just, again, really interesting decision there for the Las Vegas Raiders. And again, in the fourth round, we could have took a guy that could have probably filled a hole, but instead we go with this guy. Fifth round pick, Christopher Smith from Georgia. Tell me a little bit about him.
My favorite day three pick. That's amazing value right there. Maybe not the best athlete. I know that was kind of a knock for a lot of people, knock on him. And it kind of made them think he was mid, didn't like him. You know what I mean? But he's a solid player. Makes some plays on the back end, high IQ. That makes up for the kind of poor athleticism. And it's really more important to just be a good football player than be athletic, honestly. And I think that's a safe pick. That's one of the best high end safeties in the, or not high end, high safeties in the league. Not in the league, the draft. My bad.
Yeah.
Um, but I gave that pick a B minus. It's a nice pick. I like that.
Absolutely. And again, it's like, all the measurables and stuff. Again, the measurables aren't fair to this guy. 19th percentile in height, 6th percentile in weight. Most of the things are all below average. The only thing that's over 50%, there's two things: the 10-yard split, which shows you that he has explosiveness, and his hand size. Everything else is, really 33% and lower from what I'm looking at right now, which again, but none of this matters. I mean, we saw people that are small like Lamarcus Joyner, now for the Raiders specifically, but just in the NFL, we saw Antoine Winfield, who was smaller, Tyrann Mathieu, who was smaller. There's guys that can absolutely pan out, and you don't got to be a big guy to do that. I didn't get a chance to watch him during my scouting process, so again, I don't know him that well. But again, I trust your word, and hopefully he can be a guy that honestly ends up being all right for us. Again, could honestly fight for a starting job this year, possibly, if everything goes right. Next guy, 6th round pick, 203, Amari Burney from linebacker from Florida. All right, so Tampa Bay zone. What did he
Yeah.
tell you about this guy?
Well, I'm also kind of a Florida fan.
Okay, I hear you.
Don't necessarily watch other games, but I'm gonna try to do that. I'm not a big college guy yet,
Yep.
outside of just watching a ton of film, but gonna try to watch more of the games this year. So Bernie gave that a D minus grade. I'm not gonna lie. Uh, Blitz boy for me. Honestly, he's a solid blitzer. I think he had 4.5 sacks last year. Now the stats matter a ton in college, but in terms of prospects, but don't like the value there necessarily. Um, not high on him against the run or in coverage. So I think you kind of get that blitz guy at linebacker, maybe in an undrafted free agency. But he's not completely useless. But really don't like the pick. That's my least favorite pick of the entire draft
Yeah, and like I said,
for us.
yeah. I mean, it's definitely up there. That and Aiden O'Connell, man. Fourth round, we could have did so much more in the fourth round, but we go take a quarterback that I don't think has a future. All right, last guy, 7th round, and then we'll talk about some of the undrafted guys. Nesta Jade Silvera, defensive tackle from Arizona State, pick 231. What do you think about him?
I know a lot of people are high on this pick. I gave it a D. There was tons of defensive tackles available that I liked. I know not necessarily all of them fit into the same exact role, but I gave this pick a D. Moro Jomo, who taking, I had us taking him in the third, or I took him in the third in our mock draft. Um, there was Jonah Tavai there, who I really liked as well, ended up being an undrafted free agent, but you know, Deshaun Johnson, so many guys that could have been a better pick than Silvera. And you can even look at other positions. It's just not the guy I wanted there.
Absolutely. And again, I can tell you this, you can pat yourself on the back because I do think that you had a better draft than the Raiders did in real life. I mean, you were
Yeah.
one of the top drafters in our mock draft. And again, it just shows you that you know what the hell you're doing. And this draft here, it's just, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know anything about this guy too. There's some teams I know, like every single pick they had. The Raiders, unfortunately, my own team, not so much. So it's interesting for sure. All right. Now I'll let you break down some of the undrafted free agents. Who do you got? Who do you like? Who do you not?
So undrafted free agency was like a pleasant, a breath of fresh air after day three. We made a couple picks that I liked, but undrafted free agency we really went off. My number one and number two offensive tackles remaining, both signed with the Raiders. That's McLennan Curtis, who projects as a guard with us, but and then Dalton Wagner as well. They both got some pretty high guarantees from us for UDFA's.
Yeah.
Both those guys I think have a real future in the NFL. Can pass block, run block. McLennan Curtis gonna compete for the starting right guard job this year, so I'm excited. I'm excited to see how he does. Um, Definitely needed some depth along the offensive line, so I liked those guys. On defense, got Jaden Grant. He was, I believe, my number two safety remaining after the draft. Not a really well-known guy, but decent all-around safety. Think he can work in his depth for us, and another guy that I was just really satisfied with. And then we got Drake Thomas. A lot of people expected him to be drafted. I expected him to be drafted. Not necessarily a three down guy, but he's a good two down linebacker to defend the run, and I think he can definitely earn some playing time hopefully this year over a guy like Lucas Masterson, who I know you like, but
Yeah.
I'm not so high on him.
I hear you. And like you said, going back to the first guy you mentioned too, Dalton Wagner. I mean, this guy's a massive guy. Kind of reminds me of Trent Brown size wise. I mean, 6'8", 320. Not that we want to mention Trent Brown and the Raiders in the same sentence, but we know we got New England coming to Las Vegas now. So, them trying to get a bigger guy. I mean, this guy's a bigger guy. What do you think that he competes year one, maybe with Jermaine Illuminor possibly? Or I mean, they got Thayer Mumford though too.
I think he sticks as a backup left tackle for us for now.
Yep.
Uh, I do think he probably makes the roster at least, and I think that's more set in stone than kind of any of the other guys outside of McLennan Curtis.
Yeah.
Um, so I think we got a couple 53-man offensive linemen in undrafted free agency, so that's really nice. I don't think he competes with Illumor year one though. Don't think he's quite there yet. You know what I mean? I don't know if he'll ever be there, but he's a career backup at worst, in my opinion, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No. Like I said, you get this guy's an undrafted free agent. Like I said, some
Yeah.
fourth round picks. I mean, like I said, every pick that you take on a team is not going to be a superstar. It's just that
Yeah.
are they going to play a role on the team? And if you can get that even in the third round, that's something really good. Most of the guy, you're lucky if you come out with 15 players in the draft that are stars, let alone you got like two, maybe three guys that might be superstars, and then you got probably maybe 20 guys that you would say are probably starters, for a long time after 5 years. I mean, how many of these guys get past their rookie contract and are, really starters on NFL teams? That's the question. So, like I said, overall as a draft for the Raiders, first pick, I like the first pick. Second pick, I like the second pick. Not the biggest need. Third pick's all right. I mean, it fills in a need. I'm probably going right around that B minus range again. I feel like we hit on some needs. I feel like we got some good players. I just don't know. There's just too many questionable picks. Like Aiden O'Connell in the fourth, Trey Tucker in the third, and even some of our later round picks. Like you said, Bernie. I mean, I didn't know anything about him. And Nesta, Jay Silvera. Again, there was a lot better guys on the board. I just feel like we passed up on a lot of better talent in the later rounds. But hey, only time will tell. Anything else that you want to mention about the entire process here?
I did give our trades a grade. I gave it kind of like as a whole, based on the value we shipped off and the value we brought in, kind of on the trade value chart. We brought in, I think, like 5 points or something like that. So it's not a ton. I gave it a C plus in terms of trades. Did kind of work up the boards for a couple of picks that I liked. Chris Smith and Michael Mayer, but also went up the board for Aiden O'Connell, which I didn't like at all.
Yeah.
But overall, trades were decent, and I'm not 100% happy with this draft, but we haven't seen them play yet. Can't really judge them yet, but it was a solid draft. Again, it gives you hope for the future with Sigler.
Absolutely. And again, we'll just have to wait and see. Right now, looking at it, way too early prediction. What do you probably right around that 9, 8, 9, 10, maybe if we're lucky wins?
Yeah, I have them at 8 and 9 right now, I believe. Maybe 9 and 8. It's one of those. Kind of
Y-
easy to get confused. But there's some bets on the way. I didn't know that. So it'll be interesting to see who we can get. I know they were in negotiations with Marcus Peters before the draft.
Yep.
Um, John Johnson, they also contacted him. Obviously, they're interested. There's mutual interest between Duran Harmon and the Raiders. A reunion there. So I think we'll end around 9 and 8 probably. Our even if we add a couple of guys, the schedule is so tough this year. We played the AFC East and the NFC North. NFC North isn't particularly crazy, but the AFC East is stacking up.
Yeah.
Um, so it's kind of just a tough schedule this year, like I said, and we're not just going to breeze past this year and look to the future, but we definitely have to look on the bright side and look at what we're building here and realize that it's not too bad.
Absolutely. And again, I mean, it's only year two under these two, and this is their first year really trying to change this roster around because last year they just try to add and just try to it felt like they were trying to get this team to the promised land. And then this year it feels like they kind of blew everything up and they're going to try to start over and rebuild this thing. And I know we don't want to hear rebuild, but it does feel like they're trying to kind of rebuild it from the ground up. Overall, for those of you that are still watching this point, be sure to go back, watch our mock draft, go check out Raiders.Legends on Instagram. Here's another thing too. Really go back and look at your mock draft again. I mean, you ace
Yeah.
that damn thing, compared to what they did in real life. I think you had some great picks. Drew Sanders. I know that they were actually also high on Drew Sanders. I saw some articles saying that. I would have loved to got him. Didn't get him. But again, we did get people like Aiden O'Connell and Trey Tucker. So that's something to be happy about, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. All right. So anyway, that's that. That's all for me. Anything else that you want to mention?
No, just go check out the mock draft. Like we said, streams up on Top Notch Sports from a couple weeks ago. So check out more of their videos. Check out my Instagram, Raiders.Legends. And I'm excited to keep participating in these kind of events with Top Notch Sports, and I'm especially excited for the mock draft again next year already.
I
I mean, it's
know.
so far away, but it was a ton of fun.
Yeah,
So
and you
I
did
really
a great
appreciate you
job.
putting stuff on.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And again, like I said, one of the top ranked GMs, and we're gonna figure something out too. But you got a lot of GM points going your way, and I think what did you finish right now? What are you in the rankings right now? I mean, the last time we did it, you remember what place you finished?
I know I got like top 10 in the draft, and it kind of boosted me to like top 15 GM rankings, I believe.
Yep.
Not 100% sure, but
But you joined late too, so I mean,
yeah.
the next ranking you might be breaking into that gold tier. So we'll wait and see. So all right, that's all from us. That's all. Again, go check out your page one more time. Say it one more time just so they know.
Raiders.Legends on Instagram, spelled
Yep.
exactly how you would expect.
Yep, nothing crazy. It's not DOT for dot. It's the period button. So
Yeah.
make sure you do that. All right, that's all from us. We'll see you guys soon. Peace. We are Built Better.